what lawyers would call the inarticulate major premises of newspapers, particularly the one like Daily News. They obviously have objective, which all of us know, and those who have followed print media in the country would know what they've always been their position. So I'm actually shocked that why would someone be surprised about such headlines. I think that we all, and someone was asking as I was traveling about what has President Chamisa said in Vepati in respect to the coalition of the progressive forces in the country. You can go and check his tweet, Uncle Jed. It's there in his timeline. I've re-articulated the same position, and I'll reaffirm it today that we are of the firm belief that firstly, and let me state it very clearly for the benefit of your listeners, fellow citizens, that we unequivocally reject the proposed amendment. That position, we've stated it. We might have differences on the technical approaches and interpretation of the amendment, but the unequivocal and emphatic position of the democratic movement is that we reject the bill. That position is clear. What it means and how other people might interpret and how we want to interface with the bill is a matter of difference on tactics and strategies. But the unequivocal position is that we don't have support. We don't support clearly because that bill undermined constitutional democracy in the country. We've had people who raise issues around factional fights of ZANU-PF. We have no interest. Whether one of the factions benefit from the amendment is not our issue, right? We fight for constitutionalism in the country, constitutional order in the country, respect of the rule of law in the country, against a parasitic elite that is looting the country hook, line, and sinker. So that's our position. And that position is stated. Of course, there is an attempt to people say, no, overstate this or to remote control what other individuals can say. It happens, it's politics. People might want people to say things in certain way, but we have given the official position and we have stated it repeatedly against all odds from day one, not yesterday, not last week. We've always emphasized the point. We had a point of departure, of course, in terms of then, for example, what should happen after. And this is not the first time. In 2018, we stated our position. In 2023, before the election, we brought out a document called a pre-election pact on reforms. We raised issues around what we think should happen. Our position is that the constitution must be, some laws of the country must be aligned with the constitution of the land, not amputating that document. And we've said that if you want to amputate the constitution, it was born out of the collective aspirations of the people of Zimbabwe during the government of national unity. So let's take the document back to the people so that the people can decide to say, okay, we don't want this position, we don't want this provision, because you cannot amend sacrosanct provisions of that constitution without going back to the people. It is clear. And that position is not a position we raised during when this amendment came. We raised this debate even before. Even some of the people today, without taking so much from them, who are opposing this regime, when they were still supporting it, we emphasized this position. And we've been consistent around that. You see, we've been very, very consistent around what we think has to happen and what the future of the country must look like. Where we move from here, people will always have different views in terms of what must go, but it is also healthy for democracy. That is effectively what we're fighting for. So we don't think that people must be incriminated for holding different views around the strategies and tactics of where the country must go. But what is fundamental, Angujed, which is what I'll conclude with, is that our position has been very clear that the unity of the progressive forces in the country is important as we wage this fight. And we don't say these things on the internet. Professor Love Momadugu can attest to the practicality of this position. When the leaders who have been in the forefront in fighting against Constitutional Amendment 3, when they went to the hearing across the country, we provided the much needed mass mobilization, security to protect all the people, despite that we might be belonging to different umbrella institutions, but we all believe in the same cause. That's why we're able to do this, because to us, solidarity is not just about words and tweets and retweeting and songs. It's about action on the ground. To say, this is Professor Love Mumaduku. He is part of the progressive forces. This, all the people that you saw who went to the hearings, whether it's in Bulawayo, whether it's in Harare, whether it's in Mutare, it is our motive forces on the ground that provided, one, the space, because the regime, Uncle Jed and fellow citizens, made sure that these holes are filled at 5 a.m. I can send, after this conversation, to you, Uncle Jed, some of the mass mobilization meetings that we did prior to the amendment. Despite that, there was all this conversation, where do we stand and so forth and so forth. But we're very clear in terms of making sure that we do our part, because what is our role within the broad alliance? Our role is always about mass mobilization, bringing the people that are essential in terms of resistance. Go to the same conversation about the late, may so rest in peace, Comrade Bombshell. Major victims of that fight on the day when the demonstration was called were people within the democratic movement. That's why you saw us in and out, both of the courts and in prisons. Masbaboy Shanduko and all these other comrades who were arrested on the fateful day of the day when Geza called, because we have got the mass support on the ground, and we know the responsibility in our shoulders. We might obviously differ in terms of tactic and strategy with other comrades and colleagues, which is healthy and natural within a democratic space, because it's not in ZANU-PF where if someone holds a different view, they must be chastised or attacked. Lastly, I want to say this, because there is always a view to say, if a position is given by someone who has supported the organization and the movement, it represents the position of the organization. That is not it. People who support the organization and people who support the movement can articulate their aspiration views against certain people, against individuals, against certain groups. But the official position of the organization is always communicated officially. That to say, this is our view on this matter, this is our view on this matter. Not to say Uncle Jet, who has been a progressive fella, can express his opinion on Ostallos, and then we say this is the position of the democratic movement. It is not it, because we have to have an official position of the organization to which we can then say we are judging the organization and the movement on the basis of what is being communicated officially. Last, I said last, I think for the past 2 times, but I'll say the last position because someone someone had asked the question, Mkoma, about the work that we're doing. The summary of what we're doing is posted. We've posted it on all the platforms. We have said, Uncle Jet, fellow citizens, someone has said, no, we want to wait in July when the 100 days, 80 days is over to see what President Chamisa will come and say so that we can judge him. He said something and I underline to see how he's going to structure and organize and so forth. We have said the reason why we're doing what we're doing is to ensure that we build, and I must underline this. To build, it means you are doing something, starting from somewhere. You build from a foundation. So there is an appreciation of the reality of the democratic movement in its current state and current. To say we have to build, that's the first thing. And secondly, we say we want to build a credible alternative. When we say credible, it means that we've appreciated the feedback from the people that, look, we need credibility in terms of the people in the forefront. We need credibility in terms of the work that is being done. It's an appreciation of what everyone, whether we agree with them publicly or not, have raised in terms of what must happen, because this is the movement of the people. Thirdly, we say we want to build a credible alternative. And I underline those 3 words. 1, to build. 2, a credible. 3, an alternative. We don't want to be an asymmetrical reproduction of ZANU-PF. We want to build an alternative to the status quo, an alternative to the present system. So what that means on its own, it means the way you are structured, the way you articulate your policies. It means that when Tudengube says this is our proposition, we are expected naturally to be able to offer an alternative policy positions, because we don't just reject ZANU-PF to replace it. We want to govern, but to govern differently from the current establishment. In this way, we want to ensure that ordinary Zimbabweans in Zimbabwe and in the diaspora are able to find full political expression in this credible alternative that we want to build. Thank you very much, Uncle Jet, Titus, everyone in this space. Greetings to you, those that have not recognized. Thank you very much. I'll end here.
Do you, can you allow me, one question?
Go ahead, Jet.
Thank you very much, for setting, the record straight, and what you have said pertaining to the not only to what was said in the daily news, but to the whole issue pertaining to Cap 3. But I want to go back to the daily news, because what you have said, it presents an evidential gap, and the existence of that evidential gap warrants whether I may say further questioning or further scrutiny. But I want because when a publication comes out and puts that out, whether it is misrepresenting or it is being factual, it is. But I needed to find out for the clarity of this space, because the space is anchored on what was said in that publication. I want to believe you say that there's a misrepresentation and of what advocate Nelson Chamisa said. So the first question and second question. The first question is, did he speak to Daily News? And when you say that the article misrepresented advocate Nelson Chamisa, where exactly is the misrepresentation? And in terms of what he actually said today on his space account, on his X account, can we compare what was said in the Daily News in terms of framing, and then looking at what Advocate Nelson Chamisa has said? Can we say that those two are miles apart in terms of the framing that is come out? I just need to have that clarity, so that we get to understand whether News Daily misrepresented themselves, or News Daily did not even speak to Advocate Nelson Chamisa, and what they've said in that article is a misrepresentation of what Advocate Nelson Chamisa said.
Look, Uncle Jet. Firstly, it's the Daily News, not the News Day, because the New Days.
Sorry about that. Yeah, Daily News.
Yeah,
sorry about that.
Completely different editorial policy, right? The question is just like asking, when has the Herald? When that's the question that you're asking. When has the Herald represented our views at any day in this time? Because the Daily News, like I say, for journalists who are here, and I know that you are able to investigate yourself, Uncle Jet, in terms of the editorial policy, I can donate my 10 minutes after this to go and download all the headlines from the Daily News about ourselves. Not only today, but a year, 2, 3 years ago, right? And then I can even go further by going to say who owns the Daily News, right? The Daily News, it tells you the story. So the question will be, in fact, when has he said anything progressive about the movement? Because as far as I'm concerned, I was the spokesperson of the democratic movement, deputizing Advocate Fadzai for almost 3 years. And you can show me where our views were properly represented. That's why you won't find our quotes in verbatim. At one moment, if you remember, it had been reduced to a paper on dialogue about Pollard. Every day it was Komichi featuring there. So I don't have to belabor you with that history. So his inarticulate major premise is known by Zimbabweans. It's actually shocking that today it can be an authority around the position of the democratic movement, particularly as led by President Chamisa. And then lastly, you had also asked another question around the relationship between what has been said and what the president has tweeted. I don't see any relationship because the messages, I suspect that we are talking about the message about leaders coming and go, which has been our position in the democratic movement. It's a message we have dedicated consistently, not as of today, but all along. We've made it very clear to ZANU-PF that, look, you ran your race during the liberation struggle, but you must understand that you can't be a hero in two struggles. We've done videos, we've done podcasts, we've done leaflets on that message card, my brother, Uncle Jed, and fellow citizens, to say that you liberated the country, you played your part. You are not going to be the heroes of the transformation struggle because leaders lead and live. It's not only a position to ZANU-PF, it's a position that we associate ourselves even with, to say, look, we are going to run our race. And at a certain moment in time, we're going to say we are passing on to the next generation and next leadership to take the struggle forward. Because we are not going to be there forever, Uncle Jed. That's what democratic ethos is all about, that we lead and live. We've made that position with members of parliament that we deploy, councillors that we deploy, different people within the rank and file of the organization, including the person of the president. That's why that message comes from the president, because it's a message card of the democratic movement. Ever since President Tsvangirai was there, he would say, the MDC then, as was led by President Chamisa before the charlatans in Harare took over, thanks to the military regime that assisted them. President Tsvangirai will always say, the MDC, as he was leading at the time, is not a one-generation party. He was very clear that he was not leading to die there. President Tsvangirai was very consistent. And that's why even today we've reaffirmed that message to say, we don't want to have an organization that will only exist during our time. We are building a movement that will outlive all of us. I'm not going to be there. I'll give an example as I conclude. I was deputy spokesperson of the organization. The new organization is there. I might not be playing that role because leaders lead and live. Whether you have done the job well or if you've done it well, someone else must come because we are human beings. We're not robots that will stay in this world forever, Uncle Jet. So it's a consistent position. We say that to Robert Mugabe, who felt, even members of his party said Mugabe would lead this country until he's on the grave. But in 2017, the guy was removed from power. It is a natural phenomena that politicians like diapers ought to be changed. Fundamentally, the current ones for the same reason. So you can't want to be there forever. Out of 40 million Zimbabweans, my brother, it is not possible that only us who have the solutions to this country. We only run our race, others will come and take the country forward. That's what we believe. That's why some of us are going to school and doing all these efforts so that we are able to exit without holding the country at ransom because of wanting to power. Who would lead and live? Look at Botswana, their former president that just buried one today. The former president living in the country. Look at South Africa. Don't we wish that to our country where we can have a former president roaming around the streets, participating in some key events without fear, right? Because they've led the country and left for others. Do you think that any of us within the leadership collective of the democratic movement will always have solutions for this country? No. We'll do our part and others will come. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. My brother Gift Ostallos there. Thank you for that. You always come out with that clarity, and it's good to hear from you. It's good to Daraji. Thanks for facilitating. Right. Okay. Ngat Fambi Remberi. Right. So I think I'll go to when does our note already? Oh, you did. Okay, you can go and land.
I won't take long.
No, that's fine.
Well, Comrade Ostallos, thank you so much coming in. to clarify a lot of stuff. We appreciate you. Boramberi, Comrade Ostallos, we are behind you. Tukupusha. Thank you. Yeah. So let me. I think Yamasutra Pandanda Shikaka, we're talking about Monday. That when you open a space, Yamasutra, can you come with one picture? Everybody who is gonna come and contribute to my speakers, they must have that IV. Otherwise, they won't talk. Or so that I just want to see something. If people we are in solidarity with this no change to the constitution, let's put one picture one day. Yeah, normally space is 1 hour to 3 hours. Let's just put one picture. Let's see if we can flood it. That would be a protest also to say no. Like my IV is saying, Zimbabwe says no. Let's be in uniform just for Monday for 3 hours, and that can give us energy with the Zimbabweans, all of us here. We can talk with our IVs, man, my profiles edu. Kungoti tongoona kuti takangotsuka tese. I know kune vamwe vane nharo zvavo vanosarira, but at least let's do numbers. That would be a protest to support vari paground vari kuenda kuembassy, that we are in solidarity with you. I don't know, you Nyamazisha Mofu, you can come up with a suggestion. Which one can we put? All those beautiful faces on your profile and those ugly faces, tumbobvisa umsemande. Tomboita say Tomboita something in uniform just for 3 hours, and then you can go back to your other profiles. Thank you, love you all, Zimbabweans. Appreciate you, Nyamashisa Mof, and everybody in the space. Let's keep the fight.
No, thank you, Mendes. Thank you, Mendes. You can share your picture with people. I think I've seen a few people and over Tona, so yeah.
Yeah, I see a couple of guys here.
Yeah, no, it's always a good thing. It's a good thing. Right, can I move on to Premier? Charles.
Hello, Titus. How are you, man?
I'm good. Yourself?
Not too bad. The young man and myself are going to be to Old Trafford on Sunday.
Oh, you're watching Nottingham?
Yes. So look out for us. Tinengetine Zimbabwean flag.
Right. I think I'm in there too.
So we'll hopefully see you, because Tinengetine Zim says no poster as well.
Wow, that would be actually good if we can do that. Guy.
Make sure you've got one as well, because it would be good. Hopefully they'll zone in on us during live broadcast, and
good one, bro.
Yeah, no worries. I know you are a Chamisa advocate, so you're gonna hate me for this, but I actually wanted to ask a few things, because there's certain times when especially around Papa civil rights, Eco America, that campaign where there were certain black people, black Americans, who would come out and say things that would associate or promote Ku Klux Klan or the white supremacist position. And I just feel, and this is just a natural feeling that as a Zimbabwean, I'm feeling Kuti, that statement and that position Yatogwana Chamisa, Kuti, this engineered pact is hopeless, as the statement says. It's not doing anything positive for the opposition, but it's giving legs to ZANU. So it's almost a situation where you feel, Kuti, there's certain times where you don't need to say certain things. You may feel those things, but you don't need to say them, because rather than them benefiting your audience, they're benefiting the enemy.
Point of correction, brother. Sorry to bad muromo. So Ostallos clarify kuti zvinautaura neChamisa. Saka atisadi kutaura iyo.
Yes.
Saka ngatitaure imwe nyaya. Ostallos anga ari pano clarify. Daily news ganyira zarunoda.
If you can let me finish my
atikuda kupoizena pfungwa kababa.
Ndiana ari kupoizena pfungwa.
Poor clarity, we cannot dwell on that.
If people are intelligent enough to consume information and
No.
digest,
We are in a battle, Baba.
Okay,
so
guys. Okay, guys.
let me
Okay. Guys, can we do this? Let's allow him, to speak. If you've got anything, that you want to rebut, I'll give you, the opportunity, to do so. But let the brother speak.
Thank you very much, Uncle. My next sort of position or question rather was going to be around Kuti. I know Kuti Tine, there's a large audience within the Zimbabwean community, support Chamisa. And because he stands on the opposition side, and I am opposition. I hate ZANU. I want ZANU out by any means necessary. But what I wanted us to question, guys, because a couple of weeks ago I was in my local town and I bumped into Amai. I'll call her Amai. I'm a middle-aged man, and that's that's overstating the facts. And Amaya and the her phone, and then she was talking, and she was holding like my bags, and you almost like and you're like, oh, let me go and help. So and then next thing she's speaking in Shona, so I was drawn to her, and we started engaging. Amaya, she must be in her late 50s into her 60s, right? She's working. Vanguard to one shift going on to the next one. Do you know how people live out here? And I was just thinking to myself, Gucci, who is looking out for her to make things better? What has the opposition done since 2023? Pakapeza, my elections last time. What has the opposition, and specifically, because this is who we're talking about Chamisa. What has Chamisa done? I would have asked for 10, but give me 3 things that he has tangibly done to better vanhu upenyu hwevanhu. Amai ava vasi kuda kunge vari munomu, working like 24/7, man, moving from one shift to the next. She doesn't want to be doing that. But what has he done? I know he said this, political acrobatics. They're good. Yeah, I've resigned, but I'm still in politics. So he didn't leave politics. Don't make that mistake of believing that he left. He didn't. He's always been here. What has he done to try to better Amai Ivavo's situation? I met her 2 weeks ago. And this is not the first mother that I've seen. When you're driving down a populated area, disabled people in wheelchairs. They don't want to be doing that, guys. But we've had almost 3 years now, 3-4 months from now, it's going to be 3 years since the last election. And the most formidable player in the opposition, because Amayava is accountable, she has to turn up on time. Vachita basa, vachita shift ravo. She has to abide to my conditions and my regulations. She will not come short of that. She will not compromise on that. Opposition iri kufanirwa kugadzirisa zvinhu izvi kuti amai vadzoke kumba vagare upenyu comfortably with dignity. chii chavari kuiti chii chaitwa in the last 3 years kuti zvinhu zvinake for amai. Thank you, uncle. Thank you, Titus. Hopefully I'll see you on Sunday.
All right, no, thanks, Premier, for that. Diana Gafura, my Bartholomew, I'll give you a chance to rebut. Okay, let me, instead of me responding, maybe let me just keep it moving. So Kudzi Wells first, then I think it's a rebut, right? Then
no, I think I do. Thank you very much, uncle. And I don't go for what unoziva kuti pane mumvunzo wanoshava tiri kuenda kupi. Munhu anoitira ngi macitizens chinhu handi munhu ari kutonga here. Chamisa is not in government. He is not the president. He is only someone akatomboretire politics. Saka imwe focus tinozoona kuti inongotidzorera mashure. We want to focus on CAB 3, fighting CAB 3 at the moment. That's where we want to be. So ndisandokona kunge some of these conversations dzinotidzorera. Pane vanhu vari so much into personality politics. Havadi nemunhu wavo. There are people like that. But let's be honest, guys, we are all citizens. Like Chamisa. Chamisa is chosen to lead, but he's still a citizen. With him, he carries one vote with him. He's one man, one vote. So we all have equal footing. Despite tunoita manengere, mama leaders or not. Ndizvo achiona chena panavo kuti tese the Zimbabwean ndeyedu, we need to stand up and fight for our country. We need to defend our constitution. As citizens of Zimbabwe, not as opposition, we need to stand up and defend, to be counted, defend our constitution. That's what matters, and that's where we are now. And let us our focus and our conversations and our energies be about that. Ndo chikumbiro changu. Zvekuda kutsvaga nengi kudivide vanhu tichisumudza masistema leaders, I think it won't help us. And then even now, if ZANU-PF come, for example, I'm actually very much motivated na Rutendo Mazwana, because he has come on my side. He is standing up as a citizen, defending the constitution. He's shown his patriotism. So I will stand with him, because this is what I want. There's only one Zimbabwe to defend, despite the fact that we're leader and our school leader. The personality politics guys are shut about where we are now. We need to stand up, because even my leaders are people, whether the Professor Maduku, thanks to him for the job he's doing, whether the Tindai Bit, whether the Advocate Chamisa or Tindai Maere, they need people to work with. So as citizens, that's what we need. We need to decide what we need to do and what we need to stand for. We need to defend our constitution. We need to stand up and be counted. That's where we are now. Personality politics, guys, it's good about where we are. We need to stand up and be counted. Voice your position. Post your side, which is your campaign or your view. Those will goodiwa. That's what we need to do now. Personality politics ngatifambe vanhu vamwari nguva yafamba. We need to be strategizing kuti toita sei. We are aware that Mnangagwa might be signing this bill this week. Some people are saying no, Parliament has been adjourned. But it doesn't matter. We need to be prepared, because we know this guy is determined. The trajectory of our country. We know he's so much determined. We need to be strategizing. Kutitaita says is citizens of the country of Zimbabwe, not because we belong to somebody. This is not the time to belong to anybody. It's time to belong to your country. It's time to belong to your constitution. That's what we need now. So I think at the moment, let's be talking about unity. Let's be talking about strategies, and let's be encouraging each other to come together and defend our constitution. I think that's all I can say tonight. Thank you very much. I think daily because Ostallos took time. He clarified with the daily news, create my stories. I want to go with that. So I think daily news publication, I think I could deserve my shoulder. I know everyone is entitled to their opinion, but opinion in guide and this That's all I can say. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Kuzi Wells, for that. Appreciate. Okay. Someone ends up before I go to Muno. Ndiananga Sumzarogo.
Titus, it might have been me. I don't know, or Bartholomew.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, it's
oh,
me.
okay. Do you have anything new to
Just,
say, guys, or we can move on?
No, it's just a 2 seconds rebut, if you can hear me. You see now, in future, we should start to learn something from these bundles which we always do. Yeah. Sometimes let's look at the elephant in the room. Focus they don't have an elephant in the room. Sekunzwa kwamaita Ostallos Siziba. Really very, very clear. Karapani wanenge wani confusion ingawapo zayo, but I believe the elephant in the room is the amendment of constitution. Let's change and defend the constitution. Those akabikirirwa makomrades sadza, those akapedzerwa huku dzedu kunembudzi nemombe zvese nezvirimwa uko vanhu vachibikira makomrades kuti mutemo uyu unge wakamirawo kuti tive free. Saka kana takutadza kuva free, isu titi huku dzedu nemombe zvakaendera kuti tive free, then it's something else. Then nyaya yevachamisa anofunga vanhu vangava nechido navo mazvinzira mega yapfuura. Chindai mundotsvaka imwe yamunogona kugadzira nyuwani, because kune imwe yakambogadzirwa iya yainzi maiguru yakauya ikairakasha
Alright. Okay, but
saka ndizvo zvarume. Let's move on. Create chimwe chokugenegreta futi mugoya nacho chisina evidence, nongochirakasha chichiinda futi kudrain. We move on, we soldier on, because we know where we are going. We want a change. Many thanks.
Many thanks, Bartholomew. Okay, no.
Titus, could I say a quick word? Just very quick.
Go on.
30 seconds.
Go on.
Yeah. I need us guys, a lot of us here, probably 90%, we are living in the diaspora or in exile. We know what proper delivery, commitment, and execution is about. Whichever discipline you are working with, whether we remove business, more care, more services, hospitality, whatever, if you don't deliver, and you know that within a day, if not a week, you are already being called in. Why haven't you delivered? I think we need to really look at ourselves when it comes to our own country. Our own country, nyika yedu. Kuti when people don't deliver, we need to question, we need to raise those nenge kuti iwe chiti, we need to be critical. And we need to be truthful. Not kungoti no, we need to be.
But kana bengi rachika mari amuna chichandi munonanga bengi.
So what I'm trying to say is, when things are not right, when things don't feel right to you, when you spend 3 years and every day or every year we know there's over 2,500 women dying trying to give birth. When you know every month you're probably losing a relative, one, if not more, because there's no service delivery in healthcare sector here. When you know you have to send money kumba, and the people that you are expecting to be leading, to be taking that position to change things, if they're not delivering, question. You need to question, because the next thing is what's going to happen is we're going to have another situation where we move on to the next step. Hopefully we can move away from ZANU and we'll get some kind of freedom. We'll be caught up in the same thing because we're not used to questioning authority. But where we are working day to day, tichimuka tichienda kubasa, we are abiding by that authorities conditions and terms and conditions. So let's be clear about that. Let's be truthful to ourselves.
Right.
Make a sense. We are doubts here. If something doesn't make sense, let's question it. Let's interrogate it.
Right. No.
Because that
But
can only happen.
Hold on.
who has failed? Who has failed?
No. I mean, Premier probably, he's got his views and he sees the way he sees. But I definitely think the focus should be on the people that are governing us. That is got the mandate to govern the country. But
sorry, 5 seconds. I hate Zanu. Zanu has caused the death of my relatives. Zanu
you're not even blaming him for all whatever is happening.
That is why I am doing what I can with the skills that I have to try to get Zanu out. With the little skills that I have, I'm trying to get Zanu out. But if I come out and say, Guji, Akomana, pane vamwe vanhu havasiri kuziva zvavari kuita. Hatisi kuona zvavari kuita. It's been 3 years, it's been 5 years.
Anani
what's going on? And you're telling me
all right, guys. Okay. All right, guys. Okay.
Give us the list.
I think all right.
List yevanhu vari kutaura because munhu nevanhu zvakasiyana aiwa maoptaita akatoda kumubiridzira premier kana atipi vanhu ari kureva kuti pane vanhu ngatipe vanhu vacho ngatiudze ndivanani wose kana akangoti vanhu aiwa ngataure kuti vanhu vanani, who are they? Don't say just vanhu.
Right, on that peaceful note, I think you were happy to move forward. Right, Munu, ndimi vanhu vari kutaurwa.
Vanhu vazvoona ndakazviti munhu bye.
Ndiwe munhu utikonzeresa iwewe.
Apa takagara kumateresi taita asika angojeji ndobva watora microphone. Ndobva takauti vanhu vari kumbota sei munhu. Ndikumboti munhu vatrika ndese
Iwe munhu ka.
Munhu tuudze wewe.
Mai mukunzwa Titus mwendazi ka tiri kuuya ikoko ndatora maiki inini ndobva ndadonha handiri kuona ndadonha paipa inini ka ndobva ndambofunga mavhesi anopostwa ayaya saka mavhesi iwayo manje akatoti tsikinurawo takatozopora dzungu because anotoshanda mavhesi iwayo apa unonzwa kuti zvanga ndichida kutaura zvese ka Ostallos ndobva apinda ndobva ati ga ndobva ndazvibvunza ndikati guys hapaziripo here patasvika chaipo apa right now ukazvitarisa iwewe Titus kuti macomrades ana sekuru vedu aya ana bhudhi ana mukoma vakafira ana Tino Tungwarara vakafira ana Chivhayo shuwa kuti Geza kutofira Chivhayo kuti anyang'anye manyang'anyiro aari kuita. Ndazvibvunza inini panapa ka unonzwa Mudhara G, I was not following you, but from today I just followed you because ndisina sure makamira papi Mudhara G, but pamazounza Ostallos ndangoti ndinokuti follow because what we need as a people, we need hope.
Hanzi nansina ndikanimboseka violence. Hanzi nansina sure kuti makamira.
Nasina sure na Mudhara G.
But you ungada kuti Mudhara G. But you ungada kuti Mudhara G. Mudhara G is open. He's an open book.
Mirai nditaura ango jedi ka. Urikuona paruchika problem yatinayo ka. Ma open book ka ndo akazovhiringa kwatiri kubva. Saka isusu tiri vanhu vakakuwadzwa. Vanhu vakakuwadzwa ka tiri pa critical condition yekuti tiri muICU and we cannot afford to take chances. We have a blessing in Advocate Nelson Chamisa that we cannot afford to lose. Kuti tongozvitora lightly. It's something that has happened in our lifetime and it does not happen so often in many times. Ukatarisa situation yedu patakamira semaZimbabweans, like I had said, zvinotirwadza Uncle Jed kuti nhasi tizive kuti tese vakuru vedu vakafira Tungwarara naChivhayo nana Scott nana Pokelo nerimwe genga rese ndo rakafirwa iroro. Panoita vanhu more equal than the others. Now, where I'm coming from saying kuti mundaraji nasina kutashuwa navoka nendaa dzekuti Titus na Uncle Jed na Mwendas muri pano, Bartholomew uripo, Premier uri panapa. Pane vanhu ka serial sellouts, and I want to qualify that. Saka, we don't have time for that. This is coming from situation yatinayo paZimbabwe yekuti we have hope in certain people kuti vanogona kutimiririra, but when the time comes, those people they are not sure. They become so much personalized yekuti they forget zvavakapromisa vanhu, with the hope yekuti whatever breadcrumbs that were dangled in front of them might materialize into something. Now, understand kuti chipangano chinoshanda sei. Yes, tofanira kupikisa cap 3 or constitutional amendment bill number 3. Zvese izvozvi zvimashenanigans ari kuitwa neZANU-PF to delay our victory. Zvese izvi zviri kuitwa nechipangano kuviga kuba kwavakaita. Zvese izvi zviri kuitwa nechipangano kuratidza kuti vanhu vane usvinu hwekuti vanoita chese chavanoda and hapana zvavanoitwa. It cannot be normal today for us to sit and debate here today kuti ninganofungei apa musiri psychologist, instead of asking yourself kuti zveshuwa here takafira Chivhayo, takafira Tungwarara, ana Tino, kuti varove zvikopo-kopo ndo vatakafira. Now, if you look at Advocate Nelson Chamisa, his impact, whether you are riding on his wave with propaganda or not, it will come and bite you. That prompted Uncle Jed to open the space nas. Tanga titoido space yo timbopaumbawo. Then Uncle Jed ndobva vaiti vhu. Apa Uncle Jed vaivhura space mudharaji ndobva apindira. Mudharaji baapindira ndobva ati Ostallos. Handiri kuona kuti kana kuri kubhawa kandopa unobva zoti apa nhasi handisi kudzokera umba. Ndokutorara pano. You understand? Because unondomanyukunyuke kunzwa kuti ezvinezvi at least pane zvikuitikawo kunyika kwedu, pane vanhu, people that have got love for the land. We cannot have it normal right now semamiriro atakaita. Uncle Jed, pa demonstration iri kurohwa Titus, I've got about 100,000 followers on TikTok, 35,000 on Facebook. I will stream it.
Now we got $100,000 to donate.
Why not? Why not? So now we need to, wherever the word goes, because there is need for us to let the world know. It cannot be normal. Nasi uno kuti Zimbabwe iri payakamira paya. Tino vanhu vanongochonyepa kunze kuti takarye mabhuku. Mabhuku acho amakare hamuna kana strategy yokuti you can take freedom. Because I always say freedom cannot be granted. It must be taken. But Zimbabweans, they are not realizing kuti vanofanira kunotora freedom. We cannot sit here today tomirira kuti tagwirei, totomira shuwa kuti zveshuwa ndo vari kuti mhanya madhisirwo awo taatuka madzimotikari ayaya, totomira shuwa ndo vari kuti mhanya, toswera tichicriticize kuti so and so adzoka here mupolitics asi adzoka mupolitics. Enda kana paYouTube apa 3 months ago Nelson Chamisa was on SABC, zvaichodza kuti adzoka mukomana.